Hi everyone, Jeanette here with Vivo Vintage Designs. I was asked by one of my followers, Anne, if I could do a flower without using any alcohol because of the shortage. So what I discovered was that if I use a darker color, a more saturated color as my base, here I used Wild Plum, and then I use a less saturated color, one that contains more alcohol than pigment, I can use the lighter color as my alcohol. So I'm using Shell Pink to push the ink and as my alcohol for this flower. So I put down the Wild Plum first, and using the Shell Pink, I am pushing the ink right off of the paper, and the PSI on my airbrush is set at 20. Now I found that I couldn't create the pretty round petals like I normally do, but I could create these spindly petals, or feathery petals as I like to call them. So I think it turned out pretty well. Here towards the end, what I'm doing is I'm putting down a drop. I'm holding the airbrush away from the drop of ink and then allowing it to spread. And as it does, then I move the airflow towards the edge of the paper, pushing the ink right off again. So here I'm trying to tell you that it's not important what the edges of the paper look like, where the ink ran down the side. You can always crop that. So don't concern yourself with the collection of ink on the edge of your paper. So here I'm using sepia to darken the center of my flower. The center gave me a really hard time, but I think I managed to save it. Now I'm putting Snowcap on my palette and moving it around to allow some of the alcohol to evaporate, and I'm using a micro brush to dot it into my center. At one point, I also used a Posca pen. I pumped the pen onto my palette so it would release some of the paint inside of it. But that still didn't work because I think my background for my center was too light. So then I tried to fix it using a gel pen, adding a few little dark lines to see if it would give it a little bit more dimension. But that didn't seem to work for me either. I was not satisfied. I was trying to darken the bottom with the gel pen. So here what I did was I took a brown Posca pen, dark brown, and I pumped some of the ink of it out on my palette. And I used a micro brush to darken the center. I was determined to save the center. So now I'm drying it. You can also do this with ink. I like the Posca pens. And now I'm going back over it with the Snowcap. And for my second layer, I did use the white from a Posca pen. But I found that because the petals were so light that the white wasn't really showing up nicely. So I took the black gel pen and I put a few short little lines in there, which made it more dimensional, and I was satisfied with that. So this is how you can create a flower without using alcohol at all, just your inks. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Thank you, everyone.